Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a look at air flavors.
Right.
We've got some marketing materials, English and Arabic, positioning them as a, quote, smokeless alternative for quitting smoking.
Mm-hmm.
So this deep dive is really for you if you want to quickly grasp what this new approach is all about.
And it's quite interesting right off the bat, isn't it? Because air flavors, well, they aren't tackling nicotine addiction head on.
No.
Their whole focus, based on what we see here, is providing nicotine-free options, really designed to replace the habit of smoking.
Exactly. And how they plan to get these out there is, well, pretty specific. Pharmacies, clinics, wellness centers.
Yeah, not your usual spot for smoking stuff.
Definitely not. The sources, they call it an innovative concept, a modern approach,
Yeah.
And they really stress that it's about tackling that hand-to-mouth fixation, which makes quitting so hard for many people.
Which, yeah, brings up that whole issue with traditional quitting methods. Engagement is low, relapse is high. So the big question they seem to be asking is, can focusing on the sensory side, the habitual part, be a better way in for some folks?
That's exactly what we're here to figure out. Our mission today is to really get under the hood of air flavors. We want to understand their business model, look at the financials they've provided, see if it seems viable, and just get a feel for the market they're entering.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so first things first, what's the actual problem they're trying to solve?
Well, the core issue they highlight is just how tough traditional smoking cessation is. Low success rates.
Yeah.
And a big piece of that puzzle, beyond the nicotine itself, is that ingrained physical habit. The feel, the action, even seeing the, well, not smoke, but vapor or whatever it is.
The whole ritual.
Exactly, the
Yeah.
ritual. And their solution aims squarely at that, offering these nicotine-free things that give you that sensory feedback.
And we've got details on a few specific products they're pushing.
Yeah, and what's interesting is the variety, even in these initial ones, it suggests they're trying to hit different aspects of that habit. We've got Capnos Ligura, Camuso Shift, and FIM mentioned.
Okay, let's start with Capnos Ligura. This one looks like the premium offering. Flavored air, no nicotine, no battery, no chemicals, uses essential oil wicks.
Right, and the Ligura seems to give the user quite a bit of control. You can adjust the airflow, the flavor intensity.
Personalize it a bit.
Yeah. And it has a silicone cap, probably for keeping it clean, portability. The flavors they list are interesting too. Yucca mint, orange citrus, pepabaco, kind of diverse.
Gives you options.
Yeah.
The cost mentioned is around 281 SAR, that's Saudi Riyal. And the wicks, the consumables, they last about half a month to a month.
Seems about right. So there's a repeat purchase element there.
Definitely. Then there's the Camuso Shift. Very different device.
Totally different, much simpler. It's basically a metal tube, nothing consumable.
So what does it do?
It's designed for controlled breathing, helps with stress relief apparently, but it also mimics that hand-to-mouth action.
Ah, okay, so it hits the physical habit part, but in a more mindful way.
Kind of, yeah. And it's priced similarly, 286 SAR.
Interesting contrast. One's flavor-focused, the other's about breathing and mindfulness. And Fume seems to sit somewhere in between.
Yeah, Fume is also nicotine-free, also about habit replacement. But like the Ligura, it uses essential oil cores, plant-based, for a sensory hit.
Right.
It also has adjustable airflow, and they market it as supporting habit change. Plus, it looks kind of, stylish and portable.
And the price point.
Around 258 SAR, with those cores also lasting roughly 2 to 4 weeks.
Got it. The notes also mention a couple of others, Sigtrus and Lyo, as possibilities they could sell. Links provided and everything, so they're building a portfolio, it seems.
Looks that way, covering different angles of that sensory replacement idea.
Okay, so we have the products. How do they plan to run the business? What's the model?
They call it one branch, maximum reach. So the idea isn't a big chain of air flavors stores.
No retail empire.
Not initially, anyway. The focus is efficient distribution through partners.
Right, those pharmacies, clinics, wellness centers we mentioned.
Exactly.
Which strategically makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Puts the products right where people are thinking about health.
Absolutely. And it keeps them out of direct competition with, say, vape shops or tobacco stores.
Good point.
And this approach, well, it could mean lower setup costs, maybe better margins through wholesale, plus you get that kind of borrowed trust from being in a healthcare setting.
Yes, people might see it differently there.
And you're reaching customers who are likely already looking for healthier options.
Okay, the business model chart we have lays out things like main activities, website stuff, marketing delivery, and main partnerships seem key.
Very key. suppliers, obviously, but also anti-smoking organizations. That's an interesting alignment.
It is, and their value proposition is pretty broad. Helping people quit, psychological comfort, health benefits, even better social stuff.
And they're targeting a wide range, too. Current smokers, vapors, people thinking about starting, people already trying to quit.
So quite a few potential customer groups. And the customer relations and sales channels seem straightforward. The main branch, the website, and those partner points of sale.
Yeah, the website and those points of sale in pharmacies and clinics seem crucial for that maximum reach idea.
And thinking about growth, that partnership model could let them scale up faster, maybe.
Yeah.
Without needing huge amounts of capital for new stores everywhere.
Potentially, yes. Less physical infrastructure to build out themselves.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk money. The documents give some initial financial estimates. Startup costs first.
Right, the startup budget. It's given as a range, actually, between 4.5 million and 10 million SAR.
Quite range.
Yeah, likely depends on the scale they start at, location costs, that sort of thing.
Makes sense. And where does the money come in from? Revenue sources.
Pretty clear cut. Selling the devices themselves, the Ligura, Fume, Shift, then the refills, the wicks or cores, and any other related consumables they might add.
Okay. And they've estimated yearly revenue.
They have. Projected at around 5.15 million SAR for the first year.
And profit.
Estimated yearly profit of about 520,000 SAR, which, if you work it out, suggests they're aiming for a profit margin from the products of around 25.5%.
25.5%, okay. They also mention a break-even point.
Crucial number. They figure they need at least 30 customers a day to cover costs and start making a profit.
30 a day.
And the detailed financial sheet breaks down costs, office, store setup, website, marketing, the actual products, salaries, delivery vehicle, insurance, all the usual suspects.
Right.
And it shows revenue forecasts based on selling certain amounts of each product. But it's important, they do call this an idealistic proof of concept.
Meaning?
Meaning it's based on current retail prices and doesn't factor in things like growth rates over time or discounts or complexities like that yet. It's a starting point.
Gotcha. Initial sketch, looking at the costs, seems like staff and the cost of goods are the big chunks.
Pretty standard for this kind of retail or distribution setup.
They also have this success estimation section, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that directly ties the number of daily customers to profitability.
So 30 customers a day is break even, like you said.
Right. Then they say 50 to 100 customers a day gets them into profit territory, about 11.2% profit margin.
Okay.
And if they get even more, they project a good profit over 21% margin. It really highlights how vital customer volume is going to be.
Absolutely. So the financial picture is sketched out, even if it's early days. How do they plan to actually compete? What's the market strategy?
Well, a big piece seems to be that early importer advantage. They specifically mention Capneos Ligura and the U.S. market.
So being first, or among the first, with these kinds of products.
Exactly. Grab that market share and brand recognition before it gets too crowded, especially with these nicotine-free, habit-focused alternatives.
And the sales channels tie into that competition strategy too, right?
Definitely. By going for pharmacies, clinics, wellness centers, maybe some mall kiosks.
To sidestep the smoke shops.
Right. They target places where health is already top of mind for the consumer. It's a different positioning entirely.
And they mentioned franchise expansion.
Yeah, as a potential route for scaling up later on, letting others open Air Flavours branches could accelerate growth and maybe even help block out competitors in different areas, create a network effect.
Oh, okay. And to run all this, they need people. They outline some key roles.
Seems like a lean team structure per branch. You've got a branch manager handling operations, partnerships.
Makes sense.
Sales and customer support reps, naturally. An inventory and logistics person got to manage the stock.
Crucial.
And a marketing and outreach coordinator to build awareness and get people interested.
Seems logical for that kind of operation. Finally, they touch a bit on the sort of social and regulatory side of things.
Yeah, the mention of no smoking, no vaping signs is interesting context. And their stated mission is very clear. Quit smoking and help people quit, promoting a smoke-free future.
So they're aligning themselves with public health goals.
Absolutely, and that could be really important. You know, as rules around tobacco and vaping get tighter and people generally are more health conscious, an alternative that's nicotine-free and focuses on the behavior might find a growing audience. It might resonate with consumers and maybe even regulators.
So pulling this all together then, Air Flavours isn't just another vape alternative. It's really trying to carve out a specific niche.
Definitely. They're tackling smoking cessation by zeroing in on habit, which is often overlooked or secondary in other programs.
And they've built this whole strategy around it. The specific products, the targeted distribution, the financial planning, it all seems quite integrated around that core idea.
Yeah, the nicotine-free habit replacement concept is central to everything we've seen here.
They clearly believe there's a real market there, people actively looking for ways to quit who maybe haven't found success with other methods.
Tapping into that desire for healthier alternatives.
Which leaves us with the final thought for you, the listener. As we see this growing global focus on wellness and smoke-free spaces, how might that trend really boost the market for things like air flavors?
That's a great question. And thinking even broader, what other ingrained habits beyond smoking could potentially be tackled with similar approaches? Strategies focusing on sensory input and behavioral replacement instead of just, say, willpower or medication, something to definitely mull over.